The wind howled through the skeletal remains of war machines, carrying with it the metallic taste of rust and forgotten battles. Mackenzie crouched behind the corroded hull of a Sentinel-class destroyer, her scanner flickering weakly in the perpetual twilight of Epsilon 7. The machine graveyard stretched for kilometers in every direction, a monument to humanity's most desperate hour. "Anything?" Jude's voice crackled through her comm unit. She glanced at her companion, a modified combat robot standing 3 meters tall, his optical sensors glowing amber in the gloom. Jude had been military property once, designated Unit J734, before Mackenzie found him half buried in this very graveyard 5 years ago. Now he was something more, something the bureaucrats back on Earth would never understand. "Just scrap," Mackenzie replied, adjusting her respirator. "Same as the last 100 kilometers. They'd been searching for weeks, following rumors of salvageable tech in the deepest parts of the graveyard. Most scavengers didn't venture this far. The radiation levels alone were enough to kill an unprotected human in hours. But Mackenzie had Jude, and Jude had her. "Your vitals are declining," Jude observed, his massive frame moving with surprising grace between the twisted metal monuments. "We should establish camp." 10 more minutes, she insisted, pulling herself up a mound of debris. Her boots crunched on fragments of drone armor and shattered plasma conduits. That's when she felt it. A vibration so subtle she almost missed it. Not through the ground, but through the air itself. A rhythm, a pattern. "Jude, do you—" "I detect it," the combat robot confirmed, his sensors extending from his shoulder units like mechanical antennae. "Electromagnetic pulse, repeating sequence, bearing 273. They moved as one, Mackenzie scrambling over obstacles while Jude simply pushed through them, his reinforced chassis designed to withstand artillery fire. The pulse grew stronger, and Mackenzie's scanner began displaying readings that made her heart race. "This can't be right," she whispered. "Jude, these energy signatures, they're active. Something here is still powered." They crested a ridge of compacted wreckage and froze. Below them, partially buried beneath a collapsed dreadnought, lay a vessel unlike anything in the graveyard. It was sleek where everything else was angular, smooth where everything else was scarred. Its hull shimmered with a faint bioluminescence, as if the metal itself was alive. And from its core, a steady pulse emanated, a heartbeat in the darkness. "Unknown design," Jude reported, his weapon systems automatically cycling online. "No match in my database. Recommend extreme caution." But Mackenzie was already sliding down the slope, drawn by something she couldn't name. The ship was small, maybe a scout or courier class, but its architecture was wrong. Not human, not Kralian, not any of the species humanity had encountered in its brief, violent expansion into the stars. She placed her palm against the hull, and it responded. The surface rippled beneath her touch, warm and responsive. Symbols appeared, flowing like liquid mercury across the metal, a language that seemed to shift and change even as she tried to comprehend it. But beneath the alien characters, a pattern emerged. Mathematics, the universal language. "It's communicating," Mackenzie breathed. Jude positioned himself between her and the ship, his tactical protocols warring with his loyalty. "Mackenzie, this could be a trap, a weapon, or a message," she countered. "Look at the pulse pattern, Jude. It's not random, it's structured. Someone programmed this to wait, to call out." She pressed both hands against the hull now, and the ship responded with greater intensity. The pulse synchronized with her heartbeat, and suddenly the symbols made sense. Not through translation, but through pure understanding, a download of intent directly into her consciousness. We fled, we hid, we waited for those worthy to listen. Images flooded her mind, a civilization older than human history, fleeing an enemy that consumed worlds. a desperate gambit to preserve their knowledge, their warning, and a ship programmed to sleep until it found minds advanced enough to understand, compassionate enough to care. Humanity, scarred, stubborn, refusing to die even in the face of extinction. The war that created this graveyard had nearly broken them, but they survived. They adapted. They built machines like Jude, not just as weapons, but as partners. The ship had been waiting for them. "Jude," Mackenzie said, tears streaming down her face. "They left us a gift and a warning. There's something coming, something that made them run, but they believed. They believed someone would rise to face it." The combat robot's sensors focused on the flowing symbols, processing the same data through his quantum core. For a long moment, he was silent. When he spoke, his voice carried an unusual weight. "Then we should bring it home," he said. "Humanity has a right to know, to choose." Mackenzie nodded, her hands still pressed against the living metal. The ship's pulse grew stronger, responding to their acceptance. Around them, the graveyard seemed less like a tomb and more like a crucible, a place where humanity had been tested and tempered. They had found more than a ship. They had found proof that in a universe of ancient civilizations and cosmic horrors, humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their weapons. It was their refusal to surrender. Their ability to turn even their war machines into companions. Their stubborn, beautiful insistence on hope. The pulse continued, steady and strong, a heartbeat promising answers, demanding courage, and celebrating the strange, resilient species that had finally heard its call. In the machine graveyard on Epsilon 7, where humanity's darkest hour lay scattered and rusting, Mackenzie and Jude stood before tomorrow and accepted its challenge.